Okay, so thank you so much for that introduction, Deneen. I appreciate it very much. And to the folks that are here today live with us, I appreciate you being here. I'm William Jaramillo with ActivePBX. And on today's agenda, we have the following for you where we could help explain to you how and why we are the CRM-friendly cloud telephony solution. And we'll talk about the problems that agents have when they don't have a proper solution and how we eliminate the barriers that they may experience, and then the activities that they do and the data that they capture, how we help the organizations put that into the actual CRM to make your CRM an optimized solution versus a solution that's halfway there with not all the information that sometimes falls through the cracks. But most importantly, we could talk about how the business now, with all this information, can take action and make decisions that are important for the organization as far as being proactive in growth and to be more involved in the sales process. And then last but not least, we will talk about a specific use case where we will break down why it is one of the most recent wins that we have with technology advisors with a customer that needed the solutions that we provide, and they looked at several organizations and picked us. We'll explain why, and then how we realized their vision so they could accomplish their goals and what kind of results they saw by going with us. So that being said, and without further ado, I will introduce Alex here to talk about, exactly what it is when agents, cannot find the information that they need so that they could go ahead and provide the type of service. They fumble around looking for the records, they transfer them, and they don't have the pertinent information. So, Alex, how does ActivePBX help to resolve the problems with the agents not having the information readily available?
Hey, William, thanks for the handoff. And again, I want to thank everybody for joining us today and taking time out of your busy days. We're going to try to be brief and to the point here so that, once we conclude, you guys can get back to your stuff. But also, Deneen, thanks for the warm welcome. You did get the bio right there. And definitely, yes, I've seen it all, from an ISP to a hosting company, and now more recent telecommunications. It's all come full circle, and it's really exciting stuff. But one of the most exciting things is how the hosting side, which is now called cloud, being the new buzzword, has really kind of merged with telecommunication. And that's pretty much what we're doing here. We're taking a lot of the stuff that we used to do in the 90s, hosting websites, right? And now we're hosting CRMs. They're hosted in the cloud. And we're basically just tying that stuff together to complete the circle. So diving into the CRM-friendly telephony, some of the issues that call center managers and supervisors and owners have, their agents really aren't logging information. They're making excuses. They say they're too busy on a call, or they're simply just tied up doing other things during the call, or just focused on the particular phone call, and it makes it difficult to click around the CRM. They have to jump through screens. They don't really have the right screen in front of them. It might be the wrong record per se. I'm sure we've all experienced that where we're on a phone call, whether it be our mobile phones or the desk phone, where it's just difficult to jot down information. Some of us even still do it the old school way on a notepad, and then later on the cleaning crew may come around and toss that paper away and you lost your notes, right? So what we really do here is, by linking to the CRM and taking the phone system and tying it with the CRM, we're empowering the users. What does that do? It gives you visibility, right? So when somebody calls you, it immediately ties it to the particular record in the CRM. If it happens to match, it'll pop right up. If it doesn't, then it gives you the opportunity to search and find the right record. It might be the organization, it might be a particular employee within the company, but you'll be able to screen it and choose the right record. With that, then you have the ability to take notes, right? So it doesn't matter what screen you're on. You have a persistent user interface that follows you on the web browser, and it allows you to take notes. So really that eliminates the excuse of, it being too difficult to take notes. When you take those notes, they automatically become part of that logged call and go into the correct phone call record. With that, you have things that you can do. I always like to say, when you're in sales, what are you selling? You're selling the next step, right? So one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of us make is that we forget to set a follow-up, and that's probably one of the most important things, because otherwise you leave it open-ended where you don't really have a definitive next step or a particular date in the timeline to take the next step. So this makes it very easy when you're taking your notes. You can type in natural language like follow up tomorrow or follow up next week or next month, so that it automatically creates that follow-up task inside the CRM attached to the correct record. Now, we all know what call dispositions are. That's just call center lingo, and essentially it's where you can actually select the outcome of the call or the conclusion of the call. So you'll be able to do this from this same easy-to-use interface, and you'll be able to set things that are actually custom. So let's say you have pick lists inside your CRM that would say it was a demo, or it was a follow-up, or it was an assessment. You can have these dynamically pulled from your CRM so that they're readily available inside the user interface. So you'll be able to pick the call dispositions that are custom and unique to your organization. And what does this all do? You're empowering the users. You're making it easier for them to take notes. They can create follow-ups. They can set call dispositions. What does this essentially do? Over time, you're refining your CRM data. Every phone call that comes in, you're improving your data and refining it and making it much better. So at the end of the day, you can have the best CRM in the world and the best agents, but if you're not taking that activity and pushing it to the CRM, then you're missing out on a lot of valuable information. So I'll go ahead and click to the next slide here, and I'll just hand back off to William on this one.
Yes, absolutely. So, Alex, thank you very much for explaining, that to us regarding the agents and eliminating the barriers. And I'd like to move on now to how, ActivePBX captures the valuable activity that they do. Because a lot of times the data within the CRM is not as complete as we'd like it to be. Not all activities are notated. The notes are not complete or just non-existent, and the next steps are not documented. So how does ActivePBX help with making all the data complete?
Well, thanks for that, William, and I'll jump in and I'll explain. So even though you may empower your agents and your users to make it easy for them to take notes, there's still a chance that they may forget to do things, right? So this also keeps a log, per se, of the activity automatically, even without user intervention. So what does that let you do, or let the agents do? If they happen to miss a call, or they forgot to take notes, or they're on the road and maybe they took the call with their mobile phone, it was forwarded to their mobile. Well, when they get back to their desk, they can actually see all of the recent calls. They can click on them, and then they can actually attach notes to those in a very user-friendly way. If you didn't have this kind of integration, you'd literally have to maybe request from your IT administrator to give you the phone records. You'd have to log in yourself and check, who called you, and even then, you'd just see a phone number. It wouldn't necessarily be attached to a particular contact, lead, or organization. So that's not very useful, and it's not likely that someone's going to do it. So by actually having a history of the calls, you're going to be able to pull those up, reference them, and actually attach the right information to that activity. Now, let's go a step further. If that call was actually matched up, and we call it an exact match, to a particular record, well, then the system will automatically log that. And as you can see there on the slide, that's an example of call activity in Sugar CRM for a particular record, John Smith and Co. So those calls that you see in IBC, inbound call, you'll see OBC if it's for outbound. are automatically logged because it matched up with a particular record. So even if your agents forgot to do something or just simply didn't do it, you're still getting a lot of additional activity here that you wouldn't normally have in your CRM. So taking that a step further, there's going to be a call recording if you have it enabled on your PBX, right? So we have that feature. We can automatically record all the calls that are going through the PBX. And so now those calls can be actually attached to that record. So yes, you have the call record, right? But wouldn't it be great if you didn't have to, again, contact your IT administrator or help desk to retrieve those call recordings, and they were just readily available on that call record in your CRM, literally a click away? Well, guess what? That's part of the service that we provide. So now you combine all that call activity with the true CRM activity, and it really, like I say there on the slide, it completes the circle. And I think we're going to get into this further along, but having that call recording there also opens the door to stuff like transcribing and potentially tying in with AI. So, William, I'm going to go ahead and toss that back over to you.
Actually,
okay. Thank
Alex,
you for.
Oh, I'm sorry. Funny you should mention transcribing. I just had a question coming here. It's asking if CTI records the transcript of the conversation as well. So I don't know if you want to expand on that comment that you made.
Yes, actually, it's a hot topic, and it's really exciting for us because, like I mentioned before, everything's converging. You have the data, and you have the cloud platform, and then you have the telephony, and it's just exciting how it's all coming together. And now you introduce things like AI, where you can actually do things in a robotic or automated way that are not even humanly possible. So let's say you had all these call recordings in the system, and let's say you had 12 hours of call recordings. Well, for somebody to analyze that, they'd actually have to be on the phone for another 12 hours. So for every agent you had on the phone 12 hours, you'd need another supervisor on listening to recordings for the same amount of time. That's really not feasible. So with the introduction of AI, tying those call recordings to transcription, which basically writes it out, and putting that data back into the CRM, we can actually use AI to detect things like call sentiment. We can look for triggers and certain keywords like refund, cancel, and create alerts, right? And we could pull up very powerful analytics to make decisions and rate agent, both agent performance, and on the user side, we could rate customer satisfaction. Does that answer the question, Danine?
I think it does. Thank you very much. That's really interesting.
Excellent. Yes. All right. So, William, I'll hand that back over to you.
Thank you. So Alex, now that we the agents, their barriers are removed because now they're consistently getting calls, and now all that information and all that activity is logged. What can the business do now to take action on all that data that they have now? What can you help? Can ActivePBX help support goals for first call resolution, for example, or increase sales? And what does it mean to the business? Does it help sales and support in other departments to take action?
Right, and thanks for that. It's a good segue to the slide. One of the things that most owners, I would say, wonder about is, okay, I'm investing in configuring and implementing the CRM. I have someone like Technology Advisors that's helping me do all that. But what does this all translate to, right? So you want to be able to leverage that data. And what do you want to leverage that data for? Two main things: increase sales, right, and improve customer satisfaction. So one is more on the sales department side, and one is more on the help desk or support side. But at the end of the day, it's going to improve your business as a whole, right? Because just more sales and everybody's happy, right? So how do you improve customer satisfaction? There's things like dynamic or dynamic call routing, or what some people call it skill-based routing, right? So now that you have this data inside the CRM, we have ways to query the data so that when a phone call comes in and it's matched up to a particular record, it can find out where they belong, where they're supposed to go. Rather than having a customer have to decide for themselves by pressing options in an auto attendant, like press 1 for sales, 2 for support, or let's just say you have Windows and Mac support and you happen to know that this particular user is Windows and the others are Mac, well, why make them have to dial that in, right? That can actually be detected from the CRM, and that call can automatically be routed to the correct place. So going a step further, you can detect things like who was the last agent to speak to this particular client or prospect and route it automatically. Like in the graph you see here on the screen, there's a relationship or portfolio manager, and it would essentially, the call would come in, it would determine if they're part of a VIP work group or not, and this is all data that's in the CRM, and then it would actually figure out who the relationship manager is and send it directly to them. So that obviously would increase customer satisfaction because now you don't have someone waiting on hold or being sent to the wrong department. They're being sent to the correct agent automatically. So that's just one way how we can leverage the CRM data. When it comes to shorter sales cycles, the more, knowledge is power, right? They say knowledge is power, but action is king. So now you have all this information in the CRM, so when a sales agent takes a call, they can see what the last interaction was, what their next steps are, things like that. So it's going to definitely shorten the sales cycle. And on the customer service side and support, by having visibility to all this information, sending it to the right department, sending it to the right agent, you're going to increase the possibility for first call resolutions. And I know that everybody loves that because why should you have to have 2 to 3 phone calls to do something that you can resolve in one call? So we all know how expensive it is to maintain a staff. And so if we could decrease the amount of time that people have to be on the phone by making the whole platform more efficient, then it's a win-win for everybody. And William, I'll go ahead and hand that back to you.
Excellent, Alex. I appreciate that. That's certainly important. And then, would you be able to expand how, putting all this together, how the businesses now can make intelligent business decisions to move forward and take better action with this information?
Right, and that's a good one actually. And as part of leveraging the CRM data, what does that really translate to for the business? Well, you can make critical decisions. So if you have a graph, let's say, that ties the PBX and phone system data to the actual CRM, and you have reports that show you things like the volume of inbound calls versus outbound calls, right? What the connect rates are at different times of the day. Well, that allows you to really optimize your staff. You could first of all see what agents are performing better or worse than others, right? So you might need additional training and things like that. You can also figure out things like, what are the best times of the day for my agents to be making calls? Or what are the busiest times of the day for my support agents to be on call, right? Is the queue getting overloaded at a certain time of the day? Things like that. And what types of customers is that related to? So some of this stuff you can normally just pull from a PBX or a phone system record, but at the end of the day, when you tie it to the CRM, that puts a face to it, right? It puts a customer to it or a group of customers. So you can make much better fine-tuned decisions to determine what you're going to do next, and you can make better decisions and just optimize your entire organization over time. So going back to the call recordings, you can also use that for things like training, right, and quality assurance. So most modern-day phone systems do have call recordings, but the interesting thing here is that we actually tie it to the CRM and make it readily available for managers and supervisors, right? So, William, I'll go ahead and toss that back over to you.